everyone, this is Ron from High Tech Legion, and this is the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 670 Windforce 3X OC version video card. And that is quite a mouthful, and rightly so, since that is also quite descriptive. As you can see there, the OC version is because this actually comes with 980 megahertz base clock, and that is actually the boost clock of the reference GTX 670. So that is quite a bump, and of course we'll see later once we've popped it in how much the boost clock is from there. But of course, since it is an pre-overclocked video card, what Gigabyte has done so that you can keep the temperatures in check is that they have placed their Windforce anti-turbulence cooling system onto this GeForce GTX 670, and you can see there it has the standard 2048 megabytes of GDDR5 memory, which of course is on a 2056 bit bus, similar to the GTX 280. And let's actually flip it here in the back where all the fun information is. Here you have basically a detailed breakdown of the Windforce 3X technology. Just to give a quick overview, you basically have a direct heat pipe touch, 8mm heat pipes running along the top and on top of the core, and distributing that to a series of aluminum fins, and right inside them are these triangle, what Gigabyte dubs triangle cool technology, and directly above that are the fans that are blowing down to disperse the air. As you can see there, that the triangle cool technology aids in displacing that heat faster than standard heat sinks. And of course, since it is a next generation Kepler video card, is also PCI Express 3.0 compatible, so it's also compatible with your latest Ivy Bridge build systems. And so actually I should just start opening the box so we can take an even closer look on the card itself. And of course, inside the outer cover is a smaller white box. And inside there we can find a quick user's guide, and it's multilingual. Basically covers the basics if you haven't installed a GPU before. And in the top accessory area you have power adapters. One is a pair of female Molex power adapter to a single 6-pin male power adapter, as well as a pair of female Molex adapters, 4-pin to a single male 8-pin power connector. And of course, make sure nothing is left inside except for the card. No other accessories remaining. No other documentations underneath. And here is the card itself. So of course, inside a anti-static protective bag. And first thing you notice, of course, is that it appears to be larger than the regular GTX 670. So let's take a closer look, take my measuring tape, and see how well this stacks up. As mentioned, the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 670 Windforce 3X OC video card appears to be longer than the reference GTX 670, and measuring the top shroud from the bracket to the tip, it is actually just under 11 inches. So I would say 10.75 inches in length, while the PCB itself, let me flip it to the back, show that, and it measures about 10.25 inches in length. So see that it's about a little bit longer than the 9-inch GTX 670 reference, and right in between the, I believe the GTX 560 Ti 448 reference is 10.5 inches. So this is this PCB is right in between that. And let's start to look at the features. You can see here, and from looking at the front, you can see the 3 8mm copper heat pipes there, and the 4-pin PWM fan connector. And here is a preview of the fin arrays. You can see on the side. Of course, we'll look in that later. And of course, the PCIe 3.0 connector has a protective covering as well. When you go here to the back, here you have a display port connector, an HDMI 1.4 connector, and a pair of DVI ports. And of course, the top one is for digital DVI-D, and one is the bottom is DVI-I. And there's also an area here for the hot air to be expelled out, so that the hot air doesn't just come out to the sides, but also here on the rear as well. And see here, you have a pair of SLI fingers covered by this protective cover as well. So Gigabyte really made sure that their high-end video card has protection when it ships out. See here, for up to 3-way SLI, and of course this interesting looking metal spine here helps with stability. I believe it's actually, from my experience, I like this better than a backplate. It provides a price support and prevents your PCB from warping over time, because eventually, because due to the weight of the aftermarket cooling, actually these large heat pipes and these fin arrays, the PCB tends to droop because of the weight it carries, and of course the connectors will be degraded from your PCI connector to your GPU. So that's why there's this large metal spine here that prevents that from happening. And of course the power connector here is also non-standard. You have the reference is a pair of 6-pin power connectors for the GTX 670, but here Gigabyte has outfitted with a single GTX, a single 6-pin power connector and a single 8-pin power connector in the front. And I'm just taking a quick glance at the PCB. It also does not appear, of course, since the PCB of the GTX 670 is a lot shorter. Just from my guess, this is the PCB of the GTX 680, but of course I won't know until I open it up. And see there, just a quick glance of what the Windforce anti-turbulence cooling system looks like from the top. And note that it is a dual slot solution, not a triple slot like some other manufacturers. So it will definitely be interesting to see how well this Windforce anti-turbulence cooling performs. With the Windforce 3X cooling system removed, we can clearly see the layout of the PCB now, and it most definitely is a GTX 680 layout, unlike the shorter reference GTX 670. And it also appears that the power system, you have 5 phases here, unlike I believe the reference was only GTX 680 only had 4 enabled. That's why I guess Gigabyte has an additional power here for 8-pin and a 6-pin instead of a dual 6-pin. Of course, that will be interesting to see once we do our tests, how well it benchmarks. And also you can see the 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory, and these appear to be Hynix memory chips. And of course, that's what interesting to note is that GTX 670, the difference between GTX 670 and the GTX 680 is that they've NVIDIA disabled one SMX cluster, but the memory is still 2 gigabytes on a 2056-bit bus, and the reference design also has a dual 6-pin power connector. So that's that'll be interesting to see what the difference is once we run our benchmark in terms of performance, because it's because of the new architecture, we're still not sure what how much or how little disabling an SMX module will do. Of course, let's put back this card together and put it into our test system and see how well it performs.